Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Tina and I am super happy to be here with you guys today and sharing this scraps ideas that I'm going to have. This will be a series for multiple. I recently got challenged by one of my Creating With You group members to do more scrapbook layouts using my scraps. I'm a card maker and a scrapbooker, so I tend to take my scraps, and when I get to a certain spot, I just make cards with them to send out to people. I love to make cards as well, so that process works well for me. But we have some people in the group, and one in particular, who is like, I am not a card maker and I have scraps. I'd love some ideas for that. So I said I would pull my scraps out that I would be ready to get rid of, and I would see if I could share and show some fun ideas for some scraps. So that's what we're going to do today. All right, I'm going to go ahead, put these in order with some notes that I have, and then we'll be back to start our first sketch idea for using your scraps to scrap. Okay, for this first sketch, I've decided to work with my leftovers from, I think this is called Let's Party. Let's find from a close to my heart collection called, Let's Party. Okay, so for the first sketch, I have some irresistibles that I found in here, which this is crazy. I have two 12 by 12 sheets of the irresistibles. These are the ones that are like kind of like a UV coating. And then what you do is you use your inks like Distress Oxide or your water-based inks, and when you color them with the inks and then give them a little buff, none of the areas that have that shine will pick up the color. So, you know, you can really have fun with these. I don't know that I'm even going to need these, but since I found them in the bag, you know, I have them. I have some scraps that I have of some matching colored papers. I think I'm probably going to want to bring a little bit more of the red in this, and here's a mini dot red, so I'll see if I have some more of that in my scraps. I am going to need a 12 by 12 sheet of white paper, so I'll be pulling that in. And what I've done is I have separated my scraps into the ones that I can get a 1 3/4 by 1 3/4 square out of, and the ones that I cannot. I may even be able to get 2 layouts out of this when I look at it. But one of the biggest tips I can say for using your scraps is, one, try to use them all. It really does become freeing once you say this has to go and I'm going to use all of these. The idea of using your scraps isn't to hold on to every little piece. It's to get a final project, say you did me good, and then be done with it. The other thing is coordinating cardstock. Coordinating cardstock can do a lot for you. That's normally where you're going to get your mats from. Your base pages will come for that. Any longer elements that you need, you can incorporate your coordinating cardstock to get a nice piece. So for example, if I have a piece like this, but I need a 1 inch, I can cut a 1 inch out of this and then run something like this down it to kind of fill it. So it really does allow you to extend your scraps by bringing in some coordinating cardstock. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this down and into my 1 3/4, 1 3/4 squares that I need for this layout. And I should have did that math beforehand, so let me do it right now. So I'm going to have 6 across, and I'm going to have 6 down for this first layout. So you can see here, I might not be able to get that many out of this, which is when I will bring in the solids to fill it. And then I'll be back to share and show how I'm going to do this first layout using up our scraps. Okay, and I'm back and I have those cuts. All right, so I did a little prep work, did a little running around, some cleaning up, some digging stuff out, right? That's the nice thing about crafting. It's always there to come back to us. All right, so I have my 36. I think I said 66 prior, so I'll go back and check that when I put all this together and make the correction. But I have 36 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. All right, and our scrap technique for this one is going to be a grid design. I like the grid lines. Now, if you do not like the grid lines, you could just do them with a pencil, a light pencil, and erase them. You could use a spacer. So a spacer is where you just take a 2 by 12, or you could use a 2 by 2, you could use a 4 by, whatever it works. But you would like go 2 inches in, for example, on something and mark it off. And then you can lay one on this side, and then you can just keep moving it, creating your own templates for what works best for your mind. All right, so what I did though is I drew grid lines every 2 inches all the way across my 12 by 12. All right, so now I'm going to organize my pieces And I'm going to just start to put them out and then see what I end up liking, moving them around a little bit, and then I'll put them down. I don't like to set all of my pieces down as I go. I really do like to see if I can create a pattern that I would like and then put it all down. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get some of this down and we'll see if I end up liking it. All right. I have some that I have 6 of, and then I have others that I only have a few of to provide a little bit of difference throughout. But now if you run low on your pattern papers, this is definitely an area where you would be able to fill this in with matching cardstock. I love matching cardstock, is my friend. And I'm going to just kind of move some around. When I see that I have a lot of one, I just replace it just like that. And I often will move my pieces 3 or 4 times just to kind of get the color combo that I want. Not knowing what I have everywhere, what I have less of, what I have more of. I will sometimes, you know, just move more around. I'm looking at my lines going this way and this way, kind of like Sudoku. And I'm like, I don't necessarily want to have, you know, the same ones right next to each other or anything like that. Okay. And if you're working with 2-sided paper and you find that you're coming across one a little too much, flip it over and check that other side. Just like that. I do not want this one. So a nice filler would be maybe like this one here, and then I'll put this here. Let's go to this one. And if I have 2 right next to each other, it's not going to, I'm not going to think it's ruined, but I do want to take a look overall and see if I like it. That didn't take too long. I do have several next to each other that are diagonals. Sometimes I try to avoid that as well. Like I have these two, but overall, I feel like this one might work for me. No, if I switch these 2, it puts 3 in a row. That I would not like. I think this is pretty good. Okay, so now taking a look at it, you can see what could happen with this is just solids, just picture. And if you want more color, maybe you're working with lighter papers. These are kind of bright colors, but you could go with a darker base page with lighter colors to bring that paper out. I've decided to use white for this. I do happen to really like using white paper for my backgrounds, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get all of these pieces down, and all I'm gonna do is add some adhesive to each one and then center it with 1/8 of an inch all the way around. Now, I'm not going to ink the edges of my pieces, and I'm not going to do a marker treatment or anything because I've chosen to draw my grid lines. If you haven't chosen to draw your grid lines, you could always trace your pieces using one of our broad tip markers. Those work beautifully for that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get all these pieces down so that we can then start having fun with this really colorful background. This doesn't even look like it's made out of scraps. Okay, I got all those pieces down, and I have to say one of the things that I like about some of the scrap techniques is that you still get some quality craft time in it. Like, it did take me a few minutes to get all that down. Okay, this is ready to go. If you wanted to finish this by adding your mats, the nice thing about having the smaller pieces of paper in the back is it will then really highlight, like this would hold 2 4x6s. It will really highlight those photos in the front, and then you have a really nice background page. Well, at least I think this is. I didn't measure it out, but I'm going to say this is about 2 4x6s. Let's see what this one is, because I don't want to be a big fat liar. All right, let's see here. What do we got? We've got, so this is about 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. And if we look at that on that, yeah, this could hold 2 4x6s, but trimming that 1/4 of an inch will give a better mat. So, all right, so now this gives you some perspective on a single page layout. You can get these 2 pictures on here. You, of course, could put, you know, 2 next to each other, but it is so great. Now, I'm not going to do that because I want to take this a little bit further and show you a little bit more. So let's go ahead and move on to how now you take this and you maximize it. Of course, you could do 2 background pages like this, and that would be fine. Even with my lines, I'm going to be doing a black line all the way around to highlight this piece. So I'm just going to line this up right on that line and make sure I'm nice and in the middle and slice it in half. Here we go, 2 pieces. Now, you can do this the way I have it right here, with 3 and 3 cut in half. You can also do this to stretch it. And if you really end up liking this, you can do this at the start of your projects and, you know, have a column of 2x2s down the side of your 12x12 layouts. Or, I mean, the 2x2 works with 6x8 albums as well, of course. And then always adjusting the size of your grid for whatever you have works perfectly. It's one of the reasons why I love the grid design and wanted to start with it first. But you could also just do 2, so you could have done just 8, or sorry, 6 across and 4 down, and then, you know, cut those in half. So you have different things like that. Okay, because I used that black pen that I've almost cut off, I'm going to take my black marker now and just go around the outside of this. This is a great way when you do the grid to hide any extra marks you have, or if you really just like the black marker. I do. And then also the same pen that I use to draw my grid lines, which is a very thin Le Pen. I've been using Le Pens for a really long time. That is what I would use to do my journaling. Here I have a little bit more of that black pen that went to this side. So there we go. And then, and the stickers and the paper have some black in it. So the black went well and is nice and bold. There we go. Okay. Here we go. This does not even look like we had to make, you know, scrap paper designs. Okay, so now what you can do is, and I think I'm probably going to make one of these and you guys will get the idea on doing the other one. I'm going to put this aside. We're going to take a little look at this and see if I like it with this red. Now, I've chosen this red with the dots because, one, I love the mini dot paper. This is Chinese Lantern Mini Dot from Photoplay, and you can see it's a great match. Combine all your stuff, combine all your cardstock, combine your solids, combine everything. It all matches, it can work together, and it's a lot less stressful when you just merge it all together and start just using what you have. All right, so I think this is going to look so nice here at the bottom. I might have even been okay with 2. Once again, you could have this as an embellishment. 1 strip of those, I call them 2x2s because my grid is a 2x2. The piece is a 1 3/4 by 1 3/4, but you could even just have 1 strip of that, those 6, as an embellishment. All right, so we're going to go ahead and lay this out. I'm going to put this on here. I may want to keep some photos up to the top, so I'm looking at that, and I'm looking at the scraps I have to bring in some, and I'll want to bring in nothing smaller than probably a 3x3 on this, but I'm going to look at what I have. I want a different color, and I'm okay that I'll have to cut some of those photos down. I think this is really nice, and I have one. This is the final piece of this bluebird that I own unless I have it merged. Okay, I really do like the color palette that they have. I brought this in as a match. Once again, not close to my heart paper, but if we take a look at it, matches. And this is canvas. This is a textured paper, so that's kind of nice. All right, I feel like I'm going to be good with this. Now, in my leftover pieces, I had some circles, and I think I'm going to bring a couple of those circles in, and that's where that mini dot comes in. So I'm just going to grab a couple of these circles and put them out. And then I have some stickers, and I even had some of these acrylic shapes. Move your stuff. This came with this because this was like a scrapbook workshop kit that I had leftovers with. But move your stuff. When you're done with this, if you had just this party left over, move this into something else so that you constantly have pieces to grab from. Okay, even though this is, I could cut this to do my 4x6 pieces, I'm really thinking about leaning towards this green. So I want to double check that because I really do like the green on this. I'm thinking I like that. And I'm going to grab myself 2 4x6 photo markers. Well, for me, they'll be 6x4s. So grab those 6x4 photo markers, placeholders. Here we go, just so I can get an idea. Okay, that one's gonna look great. And see, it just fits. See if I can get one at the bottom. This piece is fine for me, even though it's not perfectly even and I would trim it. I'm gonna leave that like that because over on my sticker sheet, I have these. And I was wondering how I was gonna use those up. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick with this exactly the way it is and see that layout come together. All right, let's go ahead and put some pieces down. And I may have cut some pieces close to what I wanted. Sometimes I just, like, close enough is good enough. But I may have cut some pieces exactly the way I wanted it if I wasn't using scraps, like brand new. But look at this. This is great. This needed 1/8 of an inch trim to be perfect, but if it was the other way, I'd want to use it. All right, let's take a look at this one here. And this is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. Okay, I'm thinking of that right there. That 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. I know I'm going to be bringing in some, I like when I have pictures that go both ways. You could flip this just so you can see it and do something like this, but I don't think it's going to look nearly as good. All right, I think I'm good. I think I know what I'm doing. Let's go ahead and put some of this together. Straight across the bottom on this. If you want to really save paper, you could definitely use throwaway paper and then do half of this on the bottom and half of the Chinese lantern on the bottom and reserve that other piece. I'm not going to worry about that too much. I have a lot of paper. I might not have a lot of the same colors left as I have really been working through those, happily working through those, but I do in general have a lot of paper and I don't want to be wasteful, but I also want to, you know, do as much as I can. All right, I want something to be up at the top here on this to bring that together. And I have some strips over here. So these strips may help soften that border there at the top. I have that one I can do. That's smaller, black and white. I have the confetti. I'm so far liking the black and white. I think I might like that it doesn't pull so much. And I'm thinking maybe I would like a little border piece. Now this is all I have left, so I'm not real sure if I'm going to get another one, so another layout out of this. But I do have some directional papers, so I'm just paying attention to that as I'm flipping through. And I have 2 of those white and black ones. But I want to see what I have just in case. I have something like this. I really like this yay, and I think since there's one here and I'm covering most of them up, a little bit of this yay right here is going to add a little something on there. So that will go there, this will go here, this will go here. And I'm going to cut, just in case if I like it, one more 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 piece out of this yellow, this goldy yellow. And for the other page, I do have some smaller pieces of the bluebird, and I have some pieces of the jade. So, and I have a bag, so I'll be able to get some photos on that. I will do those probably more in standalone 4x6s to face the other direction. But I don't want to cover up too much of this bottom, so we're going to see exactly how much I want to cover up. And keeping in mind that I have another page, because I don't know that I want to do this with 2 photos. I don't want to hide this. It's very pretty, but I want to add some yellow. So we're going to go like this with that. I could have probably used a smaller piece, but that works. All right, and I like the top. I like what's happening here. Let's cut our yay piece. I'm going to trim the yay from both sides. I don't want this to be too big. So I'm going to take a little bit off of the bottom and then come from the other side. And that's about 1 1/4 right now. I might want to trim that some more. No, this I'm not going to save. Hold on. I'm not saving this. And I'm not I'm not saving this. A few might have got thrown in, but I'm not normally saving those when I am working on my final D-stash. I think that's a little too big. Let's go ahead and cut that down just a little bit more. I'm going to do it as an odd cut. It's going to be shy of an inch. So I'm going to say like just shy of an inch. There we go. All right, and then I have these stars that were part of the package. I'm thinking there. And here you could always cut this one in half as well. Okay. Let's see. I think this, I don't love the added red there. I would probably like a little, another little pop of yellow. So we're probably going to add that. Let's go ahead and put this down. And I'm thinking some foam tape might also help. And then I have some other circles. I got to bring this to me because you're going to get a huge shot of the back of my head if I don't. All right. Oh, there we go. I try not to hit the camera with my head, and I try not to get huge shots of the back of my head, but we can only do so much, right? Okay, so for this one here, I didn't trim this in the black marker or anything, but that's definitely something that you could do. If you wanted to, you could, you know, trim more pieces with the black marker and do all that. All right, I'm going to put this yay here. I'm going to go to the stickers and take a look at what I have before I start doing too much. I like this all about you. So I'm going to pull a couple out. There's a star over here that gives a little yellow. Got to keep in mind that I have a second page, so I have a yellow, and a yellow. I kind of like this pink one right here that has the half circle. I think that might work well with what I have. I don't know if it's going to be a birthday girl, but I think I'll save, since I created this on this side, and I'm going to put something on top of it, which I don't know which that's going to be yet. I think I might save the other one for the other side where I don't have words there. I am leaning towards, I like this hip hip hooray too on the other side. All right, I think where I want those pops of color is what I'm looking at right now, going back and forth. All right, I think I'm good. I have a couple more that I'm going to pull in, but I'm going to go ahead and start getting all of this down. All right, and this was just made with scraps, and the bigger pieces is the solid cardstock. So there you go. All right, and I also have this party title that I want to use up. This is going to be my left page. I know that as well. So left page, this here is my left page. That's why I'm kind of turning things the way that they are and angling them that way. I've been back and forth on which way I want that pop of yellow to go. I think we're going to go this way. Okay, just angling that and picking it up with the adhesive, and my corner to corner down here with just my angle at the top. And I want to make sure that I don't even cover the first set of grids, and I want the blue mat, or whatever color your 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 picture mat. That's the one that's going to be straight. Now this I'm going to have to shove under here, so I haven't pressed down, and I want the circle to stick out the side, and the stars just give something else to bring in. There we go. For this one here, I'm going to cut this in half. I don't think I need it because I have another one, but just for the purposes of showing scraps, if you're going to be tucking half of it under your photo, and I did bring the photo up a little bit more, but if you're going to be tucking half of this under your photo, you might as well, you know, bring it in a little bit more. This might be a little smaller than I would like, but I still like that it would be accented inside that. All right, I have the stars here, and then I found this star, and I might want to bring in one more. I think that one's going to go on foam tape, and I like that. And I'm going to have the All About You up here for just that other pop of yellow. Yep. And foam tape as well, just sizing my stuff out. I like the little party time down here, and that worked out. I think I'd like a little pop of red. There is another kind of dotted circle here that I have on mine. What I really like about this is you can always just add circles and stars using your die cuts. So I do go to those quite a bit, but you know, whatever you have, like here's another one. It's just, this one's a little smaller and I like the size on that. Okay, let's go ahead and get some foam tape on these. Now this is where I spend a lot of my time. It's true, I do. I spend a lot of my time on my foam tape. This sticker seems so sticky to me. Okay. I got this new thing, but I have a friend who has one and the powder comes out 10 times as fast. So this one only comes out, like sometimes I'm like, is it even coming out? And then I'll feel it and I'll say, oh, okay, it's coming out. But a lot less comes out, and I think that's great because you don't want to waste your product. But sometimes I also like the faster one. So if you have those. All right, I had this little stamped thin cut, and I've been staring at it, and I'm thinking I might add that there. And then I'm going to see what the party looks like right down here. I'm not sure which ones I have, but I think the idea was that you mix these and, you know, just use whatever you have. Yeah, I don't know that I would have used these if I hadn't really said, let me just use up my scraps. Okay, here we go. So here's the party, and I think it's a little washed out. I think it really does need a much better background. So I'm just going to move it up here because I have a lot of white down there, and see if I like that. I'm going to let that sit there for a minute while I grab that foam tape. Just have 1/4 inch foam tape here. I use this pretty much more than anything else. Okay. All right. I have been really trying to use less foam tape. It takes me a tremendous amount of time to do my foam tape. I used to cover every single piece of stuff, and I'm working on that, right? Like we can always just kind of grow. All right, there we go. All right, so that should do nicely for this. So I have All About You. I'm not loving the party under the yay, so I'll probably save that for my other page. I'm going to bring this in to kind of overlap all of that. I'm going to get rid of the party so that I know in my mind that area is blank in case I want to add something. Adding the other little circle element here to bring that together. There we go. And I'm going to want to do some bling, but I don't know what that looks like right now. Okay. I have some banner pieces off to the side, and I think when I show, now I'll make the second page in a different video. Because I'll do it a little differently and then add it just to keep this video short. So I hope you guys will come back for that. Okay, this cupcake is super cute, but it could go with something else. But I have, since I'm doing some circles, I have this circle here. And that is my last kind of circle that I have. I think I might save that just to give me an option on the other page. And instead, I'm going to go with one of these. I'm thinking the yellow. I lied. I'm going to go for the red. And instead, since I have that extra little bit of room in between here, I think I'm just going to add this piece to go right in between my photos. Okay. There we go. We have little party animal there. That's super cute. All right, and then to balance my pieces out, I have all about you and I have party animal here. I have party time here. So I have lots of little words that I like, and I'm going to add some to the other page when I do that. On here are these little pieces that are right here. I'm going to grab the black and white grid and the yellow. Let's see, 1, 2, counting those yellow pieces. I can always add yellow with some paper as well, but I'm just going to go ahead and take these two out and see if I like them. I'm going to put the yellow for the other page, line that up, and I'm going to grab the green instead. There we go. I think that's going to look really cute. I'm going to put it inside here like this. There we go. Because I thought there was enough yellow. I like this. This is looking really good. I would never have guessed this was a scrap page. And now let's talk about some bling. So maybe you don't have a lot of bling left over. I would tell you right away to go for our dollar bling. And I mean, the website is down in the description. So you can always check that out. But also go for, you know, whatever bling you have that you can use up. I use a lot of black bling. It's kind of a favorite of mine. It's a go-to, if you will. So I usually have it, but yeah, when you're getting this much bling for $1, spectacular things can happen. And this will also be able to bring in more of the black, which I'm going to use this party on page 2. This will be able to give me more of the black. And in addition to that, it brings in the circle element that I had as well. So I'm going to add these little dots wherever I want them. I'm not going to do where I have to have this amount here and this amount here. I'm really just going to kind of add these wherever I think I'd like to see that little pop. This here, I kind of do wish I had trimmed in the black, or maybe added a little piece of black paper coming through it or something highlighted there. But for a page that is made with scraps, really loving this one. And just bringing in more of the dots. I have them all throughout. I have the red textured from the Chinese Lantern Mini Dot. I have the dots up here, the dots in our bling, and then the dots down here. So you can always lay in on something and just kind of keep going with it. Those are a little too big for me. Whoops. There we go. Let me go down a size. No, I like the banner just the way it is. I think that's going to do it for me. I feel like I want to add more, but then I'm also like, let me wait till I get my other page done. Okay, guys, that's going to do it. I feel like this turned out really well. Using those scrap papers, we have the grid background that I cut in half and then layering it all out, some foam tape dimension, a little bit of bling, but you can see what you can do with your scraps. So I hope these Scrapping with Scrap series and these ideas that I have coming out with it will help you use up some of those collections and get them out of your room, but get some final value out of them. We're all feeling the crunch in the market for crafting, and I think that we have a lot we can do with what we have to move things on and then really just enjoy our crafting process. So I'm so happy to be sharing this series with you, and I hope you'll come back and join me for a few more of these videos and these ideas that I have. Guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to come back for part 2, which is when I will make the complimentary page for this. All right, you guys, take care. Bye-bye.